The EA Sports College Football 25 trailer dropped a few days ago, so let's break it down a little more in depth today and show you some things that you might have missed. Now I'm going to go over some things in the video that might be obvious as well, but just want to kind of touch on all the details we saw, some of the little ones, and even some of the big ones. We're going to look at some of the team traditions, we're going to look at some of the sneaky equipment and things like that they snuck in there, and more. Now also keep in mind, in the coming weeks as we get closer to the release of this game, EA is going to continue dropping more information. We're going to get a big deep dive gameplay sometime soon, probably within the next few weeks, where we're going to see actual in-game gameplay and we're going to get the game features broken down. So if you don't want to miss stuff like that or the deep dives on the game modes like Dynasty and Road to Glory, make sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon on so you don't miss any of that important information the second it drops. Trying to get to 600k subs before the release of this game, and if everybody watching just subbed, we could hit that number in a few days. So the first thing I want to start with here are like some of the specific things to each team, like the traditions and celebrations and stuff like that. Now you may have caught a lot of these, but the trailer does move along so quick with a lot of quick clips that you might not have caught every one, but some of the more important stuff we're going to talk about is the sneaky equipment a little bit later in the video. But let's first start kind of just showing every team has a unique run out, which I think is very interesting because if you're familiar with the Madden series, every team pretty much comes out the same. There's slight variations of it, but it's essentially the same intro pretty much every game for every team, which after you've watched it once or twice, you just skip right over it. It's bland. No matter what game you load into, kind of feels the same. But that's what kind of separates the college game in real life and in video game form from the NFL, because colleges have much more traditions than the NFL, both with the fan base and with the team itself. So as you're seeing here, they're showcasing that with Notre Dame touching their play like a champion sign, with LSU hitting their win bar, with the Florida Gators touching the Gator head, and all the other little examples of this. You've got Clemson running down the hill and things like that. Every team has a unique entrance because in real life, they have a unique entrance and they have these unique traditions, both with their mascots, with their fans, and all of that. And to me, that's one of those things that is going to separate this game from a game like Madden, because no matter what team you load up with, it's going to feel different every single time. If you're loading up with Texas, it's going to feel different than loading up with Wyoming or loading up with Toledo. You're not going to get the same generic kind of cookie cutter experience with every team, and those are the things that kind of keep you coming back to the game a little bit more, in my opinion. Now there's some other cool specific team things we saw in this trailer, for instance like Iowa waving at the Children's Hospital, and again this just goes to the attention to detail in this game. In real life, you've got the Children's Hospital kind of in the background outside of the stadium, and this is something that Iowa players do in real life, and they're going to do it in the game as well. So not only does this game have over 134 rendered different stadiums, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because in the NFL game you've got 32 stadiums, maybe a little bit more because they have some of the stadiums in other countries that they do play games at once or twice a year. But you know, they have less than 40 stadiums. I think the soccer game, EAFC, has like 60 stadiums. This game has over 134 stadiums, I believe, because they have one unique stadium for every team, but I think they even have a few others where bowl games are played. So that alone just adds so much uniqueness to this game, and they showcase a good bit of it in this trailer where you're seeing some of the massive stadiums that can fit 100,000 people, and then you're seeing the smaller ones. Now what I hope with this game, and I think we're going to get this because it seems like they've put a lot of detail into the presentation and the audio, I want to hear the differences of the stadiums. You know, Penn State or USC or, you know, Michigan, they should sound a lot louder and a lot different than some of those smaller stadiums where it's not nearly as many people. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to play through when the game drops. Some other interesting tradition stuff we saw in the game are, you know, just the different ways that teams celebrate, which is not, again, something we see a lot in Madden. We do see it with touchdowns, but outside of that, we don't see like the on-field celebrations or the turnover celebrations that are really popular in college. So you can see Alabama with their belt. You can see Pitt dunking the basketball, which is like, some of these shots just look really, really good. Some of the best graphics I've seen in a sports game, at least as of late. And then you have other traditions like Michigan taking their team picture. I believe they do this after their turnovers. You could see Wisconsin doing their signature celebration right here. You've got Miami throwing up the U. And again, all of this stuff, while we do have some specific celebrations that do happen in Madden for certain players, like the gritty and things like that, again, this is something we see more in college. Teams have these different turnover traditions. They have these different ways that they celebrate. And while some NFL teams have a little bit of this, it's just not on the same scale as college, because everything in college, it seems so much more prideful and there's just so much more pageantry to it. So every team tries to come up with their own unique thing, and it looks like, as far as we can see in this trailer, EA has gotten every unique thing from every team, which is super interesting. Now, we're going to get a little bit deeper on some of the other stuff in this trailer in just a second, but really quickly, I do want to shout out today's video sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. If you love sports and you love money, then you need to be on Underdog Fantasy playing their Pick'em game. Basically, you take 2 or more players to go higher or lower on a wide variety of stats, and if they hit, you can win some big money. But the best part about Underdog Fantasy is they're always going to give you a free play at sign up, and they're going to give you bonus cash to play with. So right now, whenever you sign up during the NBA playoffs, they're going to always give you a free play of one of the better players to get a single point. So for example, if you sign up right now for tonight, they're going to give you Anthony Edwards for game 7. All he has to do is get a single point. And if you sign up tomorrow, they'll give you Jason Tatum to get a single point. Whenever you sign up, there will always be a free play just like this to take advantage of. And if you sign up using my promo code RAY, R-A-Y, on top of that special free pick, they're going to also give you up to $250 in bonus cash on your first deposit. So you get a free pick and you get a bunch of free money to play with, and you just can't beat that. They even have the different crowd traditions as well. So we see the whiteout game that Penn State is known for, even including the S section that they've been doing for quite some time now. So it's cool to see things like that represented. So now let's talk about some of the equipment, because there's a lot of people that play Madden and who are going to play the college game that are big equipment heads. Equipment is such an important part to these games because it just adds to the customization, it adds to the uniqueness. Players wear a lot of different gear in real life, and you like to see that represented in the game. So right off the bat, let's start with the pants above the knee. I think most people kind of are familiar with this by now. They've seen it after watching the trailer a bunch. A lot of people have pointed this out. This is one of those things that isn't in Madden, and I believe the NFL won't allow that because technically that's a uniform violation. The NFL doesn't want players actually wearing pants above the knee. I do believe they get fined for it still unless that's changed. So that's why that's not in Madden as far as I know. But when you're talking about the college game, a lot less strict, at least in terms of the video game. So we're going to see some of the stuff that we maybe can't see in Madden, and this is one of those things. And you see throughout the trailer a bunch of examples of this. Quentin Ewers, you could see pants above the knee. You could see the LSU player catching the ball on the sideline, pants above the knee. You can see the Georgia player when he does the little hesitation move, pants clearly above the knee. So this is something people have been asking for a while in Madden. Not sure if we're going to have it there, but we have it in the college game, which is good to see. So just any way you want to customize your player, you want as many options as possible. It also appears in the trailer that you can actually play with your back plates exposed and your jerseys rolled up. Now this is in Madden, but you can only use it in the yard game mode, or now it's called Superstar Showdown. You can't do this on field because again, the NFL does not want them doing that. But again, in college, it's a little bit more open. So you can see in the Baylor shot where the guys are running out, you can see number 55 has his back plate exposed. You can see another one of the guys at the back of the group here with his back plate exposed as well. You can also see it here with the Pitt dunk celebration. You got the guy with the jersey rolled up. You could see it here on the kickoff with, I believe that's Wyoming. He's got his jersey rolled up as well. So again, you want to wear it up, you want to wear it down, you want to wear it with the untucked jersey underneath. That is in Madden. We've seen that in this trailer as well. Multiple players with their jerseys untucked with the undershirts. That really isn't a surprise because we do have that in Madden, but however you want to wear your jerseys, you got all the options in this game. They also added knee braces to the game. Now this is something I do expect to carry over to Madden because I don't see why this wouldn't. This is something people have been asking for. You could see it on a lot of the linemen. They have the knee braces, and it even looks like the knee brace goes up under the pants as well a little bit, which is good. Nice attention to detail there. So that is a new accessory that we don't currently have in Madden, but I do expect it to carry over. We also see branded socks. We have Nike socks. Now, somebody did mention that they saw Adidas socks on one of the guys. I couldn't really quite make it out, so I won't say for sure, but probably so because in these games, they do have Nike and they do have Adidas equipment. So if they have Adidas equipment in terms of cleats and gloves, I don't see why they wouldn't have the socks as well, but you could see Nike socks on a number of different players in the shots. So it seems like also a lot of attention to detail to which brands are sponsored by which teams, because you could see the Nike guys clearly have Nike socks. You could also clearly see Oklahoma, for example, when they're running out, everybody's wearing Jordans because they're sponsored by Jordan, and we have a number of Jordan cleats in the game. Curious to see if they added any new ones this year. They have about 4 or 5 different pair in Madden, so curious to see if they're going to add more. And speaking of the Oklahoma shot, you can also see that it looks like we have tights or leg sleeves now, which we don't have in Madden. You can see number 11 on OU with the red tights. You could also see it here on the Texas A&M player. You could see them running out. The guy in the front, he's got the tights on. You can also see it clearly here with Donovan Edwards on the stiff arm. He's got the tights or the leg sleeves. So another one of those things that people have been asking for in Madden. And again, I would expect this to be one of those things that does carry over to Madden because there's no reason, I don't think, why they wouldn't be able to have that there. unless that goes against the sock violations or something. I don't know, because NFL's got a bunch of crazy rules. I mean, remember when AJ Brown was wearing the pink cleats last year and they made him change it at halftime? They're very strict on that type of stuff, so it unfortunately does hold back Madden, but at least here for college, that's just another one of the reasons this game's gonna be a little bit better. We're gonna have that variety. We're gonna have that option to do what we want to do here. It's not gonna be held back by the NFL in any way. Also in the video, you'll notice you see Nike footballs in a couple of different clips, so it looks like we definitely have Nike footballs in the game, which is nice, but in one of the screenshots, you also see a Wilson football, so it appears that we will have multiple different football options for people that are into that as well. Another thing I thought looked pretty good were the back plates. They look different than they do in Madden, in my opinion. They look a little bit better. You could see some of them here with the Clemson players. You could see it really good here with the UCLA player. Their uniforms are so fire, by the way. I think they're some of my favorite uniforms in college football, but you could see really good back plates there. Now going back here to this Clemson shot, something I know people pointed out, something that is probably, I would say, the worst part of the trailer are definitely, the player models are definitely very much like Madden, and not to say that every player model in Madden isn't bad, but some of them are bad, and they're not all good for sure. And you can see here, the one thing I'll say is there are different varieties of body types. They've definitely done a little bit better with that over the years, adding more variety, but like number 64, for example, he even tweeted about this saying, dude, I'm not that big, and he's not. So I'm sure he'll get adjusted. Little things like that are a lot easier to tweak before the game comes out, especially when you got 10,000 players. Just to be fair, with 10,000 players, you're probably not going to have everybody's body type looking on point. You're probably going to have to go back and tweak things, because that's just a lot of players that you have to have looking exactly like themselves. I don't know how many man hours that takes, but that's got to be just a crazy amount of time. And especially if you're trying to make their faces look decent as well, you know, that's a thing too. But what I did like is we definitely have different varieties of body types here, but they're definitely not the best player models in the game. That's kind of one area that EA definitely could stand to do a little bit better, in my opinion. Now also here with Travis Hunter, something that's interesting, a lot of people pointed out, it looks like he has a ski mask on, or a shiesty, which whatever you refer to it as, but it looks like he has one on, because if you look at his neck, that's definitely way darker than his face. That's not his skin tone, but I'm gonna say that this is a maybe, just because it could be the lighting playing tricks on us a little bit. It definitely looks like he has a mask on, which would be another really cool piece of equipment that people have wanted, but I don't think this one's definitive enough yet to say that it's for sure in the game, but it's something to think about, because it does look like it could be. Now in terms of the animations we saw in the trailer, just to be honest, we did not see like real gameplay. We saw cinematic, we saw a lot of up close stuff, but I mean, we definitely see animations that we recognize from Madden. And I mean, I've said this for over a year now as we've been talking about this game. The gameplay is going to have a lot of similarities to Madden. The old NCAA games had a lot of similarities to Madden as well. Some people refuse to recognize that, but it's true. Now, NCAA also had differences on the field than Madden as well. They weren't 100% alike, but they did share a lot of the same animations. They shared the same movement system. Most years they were on the same engine. This is a fact, not every single year, but most years they were on the same engine. For example, the last game that came out, NCAA 14, was on the Ignite engine with Madden 25. Now, when Madden 25 moved to the new consoles, that version did have a different engine, but NCAA never went over to the newer consoles. So when you have the same company on the same engine, both American football games, they're going to share the animation library. It just doesn't make sense not to. They're going to share the movement system. They're not going to make an entirely different movement system for one game than the other. That just doesn't make sense. However, NCAA always played faster, and from what we've heard about this game, the same is going to be true. It's going to play faster. It's a more wide open game. You know, the hash marks on the field being wider also plays into how the game plays, but also the gameplay in terms of NCAA or college football, the way it's going to be different more than anything else, aside from being faster, maybe a little more loose, because those are things they can tweak within the engine, within the system. Even if it has the same animations as Madden, even if the players run the same as Madden, it doesn't mean that the game plays on the field 100% like Madden does, but it's going to share a lot of those things. So don't get me wrong, it absolutely is, and we see some of those animations in this exact trailer. But another big way that the college game is different is the playbooks are much more diverse. So if they do nail the playbooks, which is a big if, because you know they haven't really done that in Madden lately, if they nail the playbooks, that alone just gives you so many different ways to play, and it makes the game feel different. But one animation we did see in the trailer that is not in Madden is the LSU catch animation, and that is another way where NCAA will be different. There will be some animations that are just specific to the college game, because for one, you only need 1 foot in bounds to secure the catch. So with that in mind, the same as the older NCAA games, you're going to have a variety of 1 foot catch animations, whereas you wouldn't have that in Madden, because you wouldn't have all those animations in Madden that would just result in an incomplete pass. That just doesn't make sense. Whereas in NCAA, those are completed passes. So you're going to see new animations in terms of 1 foot in bounds. You're going to see new animations in terms of plays, because because this game will have plays and formations that will not be in Madden. You're not going to see wishbone and flexbone. You're not going to see the variety of triple options and speed options in Madden that you're going to see here. So you're going to have a lot of different animations on running plays, on pitches, on tosses, on different auto motions. So you're going to have differences there. And I do think they're going to give this game a few of its own, maybe standalone animations just to make it feel a little more special. I don't think it's going to be some above and beyond type of thing, but I do think they're going to give it its little touches to try to make it stand out and be as different from Madden as possible, because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We don't want it to just feel like a completely reskinned game. But yes, are you going to see the same animations that you see in Madden? You're absolutely going to see that. They have this animation library. They're not just going to completely chuck it away and start over, because it just doesn't make sense to. If anything, just add on to it. Add the special things that happen only in college and make those kind of come alive with some of those new animations. And here's another cool shot that I don't think a lot of people caught. You could see here in this clip in the background, the guys on the sidelines holding up the big play card signs that we know are very popular in college football. So it looks like even those little sideline details are going to be included in the game as well. But kind of starting to ramble now, so we're going to wrap this up. If you want to know about some of the game modes and stuff like that we found out a few days ago, make sure to check out this video right here on the screen.